Anybody have Brittany coming today? A lot. I've not heard. Yeah, Brittany's coming too.
Good afternoon and welcome to our March 4th, 2024 meeting right before Election Day. And we will go ahead and get started, and if we can please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a roll call.
Yes, Vice Chair Browning.
Here.
Director Brown.
Here.
Director Howard.
Present.
Josie. Present. And Director Kick. Here. And Director Testa. Here. And Chair Hernandez. Present. Leo Thomas.
We'll move on to item number 3, which is our meeting open to the public. Members of the audience may address the board of directors on any matter within the general subject matter jurisdiction of that board of directors. We have, and the member of the public is limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any members of the public that would like to speak on Zoom or
So
the audience?
there's nobody here in the audience today to speak. I didn't get anything via email. There is one attendee. If you'd like to speak, if you would please raise your hand. They are not raising their hand.
Okay. So we'll move right along to our consent agenda. This will include the minutes of February 5th, 2024, and our treasurer's report from January 2024. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
So
I'll second. There. We have a motion in a second.
Vice Chair Browning.
Aye.
Director Brown.
Aye.
Director Howard.
Aye.
Aye. Director Kick. Aye. Director Testa.
Aye.
And Chair Hernandez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Our item number 5 is our contract award for LAVTA Financial Audit and Team Services. And do we have a presentation on this?
We do. Tamara Edwards will be presenting this to you today.
Thank you. In December, staff issued an RFP for financial auditing services for LAVTA. In preparing the RFP, we consulted with the cities of Dublin and Livermore, the finance departments, and County Connection as well. Most transit agencies do not do an ACFR, which is why we consulted with the cities, because we can do one and our auditors play a key part of that. So we went to the cities and asked for their last procurement, so we just make sure we weren't missing anything that changed. We went out to bid at the end of December. We received 2 proposals. Staff here, myself, Daniel Zepeda, and Amber Johnson, the CFO of County Connection, reviewed the proposals and scored them. We brought this item to the, or actually I should say, sorry, Brown Armstrong scored 91, Hayes Associates scored 95. We brought this item to the Finance and Administration Committee, who moved to approve it to come to the board. There was one concern raised at the Finance and Administration Committee about how long Hayes and Associates have been our auditor. They have been our auditor since 1996. They do rotate the auditor, the lead auditor, as well as some of the staff accountants and other auditors as well, as required. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Tamara?
Well, yes, given that the recommendation is generally to change auditors every 5 years, why when the points are so close and it was felt that the proposals were pretty close, why wouldn't we have taken this opportunity to, since it's been 1996 and it's the recommendation standard is 5 years?
I have a clarifying question. So is the recommendation 5 years of a different company or a different person?
I believe it's a different person.
Right, so government code 12410.6 says that the lead audit partner cannot be on the same account for more than 6 consecutive years. So just in terms of what the statute says, it would be permissible to stay with the same firm over time.
With a different person every 5 years?
It's a different person every 5 years. doesn't mean you might want to change. But that's the law.
Right, okay, so the hard line is, can't be the same person, right? I understand that, but the industry standard really is fresh eyes. And the whole point of the 5 years is fresh eyes, and this isn't just a little past that 5-year industry standard. It's been since 1996. And again, if there was not a comparable alternative, I would understand. But in the finance meeting, we talked about that these proposals were really close. And so it just seems like a really good opportunity to reconsider that.
So, if I may, we did have a very lengthy conversation at the committee meeting about this. I will take the ownership for directing staff to proceed with the recommendation for the highest ranked firm. Tamara did come to me asking for some input, given that our history with Maze is so long. I spoke with legal counsel, given the scores were what they were, I didn't feel comfortable changing the recommendation, but we are not recommending, any option years at this time. We are only recommending the 3-year base term, and we would be going out to bid prior to the end of that 3-year base term to look for a new auditing firm. The board today could also direct staff to come back, next month, with a revised, recommendation for your contract award. We would not recommend going out to rebid. That would not align with our auditing timelines. Tamara, do you have anything else to add to that?
Is there any like actual red flag here? Like, have they done something?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
But you never know that. I mean, that's the
Okay.
reason there's an industry standard, fresh eyes.
There's also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that was for record, sorry, the chair. In the points, when you're accruing the points, is there an advantage given to somebody who's done this before? So that your existing firm has a benefit for continuing?
Not at all. We do look at experience. Both firms actually had very similar experience. But there were no additional points given because they've been our auditor. No, none given, none taken away.
Okay, thank you. Anything remotely like that, like physically, locally, closer by, or?
No, the other firm has an office in Stockton. This one's in Pleasant Hill, so really not much closer. No, it's pricing's on there, but pricing is the lowest score. It's based on, what you're getting for it, what they're charging, and qualification of the firm, as well as the individual auditors, their experience with our funding sources, MTA, SGT, all that sort of thing. We have in the past had bids from auditing firms that had a vast experience in school districts. School districts are very different, so we were definitely looking for someone with transit experience. I think that came out in our RFP. Both firms had similar years of qualifications.
Thanks, that's good.
Yeah, and then, just something for the rest of the board, wasn't the finance committee, you talked about how close the two were, and you said one of the big tiebreakers was the training component. Could you talk about that a little bit?
There was, some of the difference was due to cost. So the other firm lost a few points for that. But in terms of training, Lees and Associates provides their associates with double the required training amount, which was more than the other firm. Lees and Associates also offers free training to their clients, and actually past clients as well, because I happened to have quite a few of them when I went to training last year. They have a Maze Live. Every year, GASB, which is Government Accounting Standards Board, and their primary goal, in my belief, I've never read this, but their primary goal is transparency in financial statements. And your cities all deal with them. And when I started here, I think we were in GASB like 37 or something, and now we're like on 120 now or something. It's every year there's a ton of them, and they come out, and you can read about them, and you can research about them, and you can call the cities and ask them, and some of them are clean cut. The OPEB one, the retirement one, some of them are not. And Maze and Associates has their maze live training really has brought some of those gaps, because the more difficult ones, they don't do the training on that. They bring in the industry experts to train. So, for myself, who doesn't have, I mean, I have Daniel's awesome. We don't have another like accounting person with all that experience that we can go to. So that training, did put them slightly above the other. As I said, myself, Daniel, and Amber Johnson from County Connection, the CFO of County Connection, were the reviewers. And Amber actually has experience with both agencies. She's been audited by both agencies, and she really felt that Maze was the stronger, although not hugely stronger, but 5 points stronger than the other.
Did she express concern that you're staying with the same one for so
Not
long?
at all, because they've had the same auditor just as long. So we kind of laughed about it, because I expressed my concern that that would be coming up, and she said, we've had the same auditor just as long. Some of your cities recently changed auditors, they had auditors just as long as well, so.
I want to preface my comments by saying I'm in no way recommending that we overturn the recommendations of the finance committee. I wasn't in that meeting. I'm happy to take that recommendation. So my question is, how often have we gone, out for RFPs for our auditing firm? Has
It's
it been
been every 7 years.
Every 7 years?
We've been doing 3 years with 4 option years and going out to bid every 7 years. The last time we only received 2 responses, and the other firm left out an entire section, so they lost 25 points. I mean, there was no way to help them on that. And the time before that, we got a bunch of responses, but only from one that had transit experience. I don't know what was up with the economy at that point, but people were looking for work in industries they were not involved in.
Okay, so that actually gets to kind of the heart of my point is, we're gonna do this again in 3 years. My concern is that, if we continue to do this, we get responses, but we continue to pick nays every time. We're basically discouraging firms from going through the process because, well, they do it because they feel like they have to do it, but they're gonna just pick nays anyway, so why would we jump through the hoops? I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's been talked about before.
Yeah, I just
Even
wanna
with
make sure
attorneys,
we're not,
like that's,
right.
I mean, some attorneys won't even apply because. And
I will just say there are not a lot local, I mean, in California, who have transit auditing experience. There's just not, it's the same with when we went to find attorneys, finding, attorneys who specialize in transit just weren't there.
If I could ask a question, could we exclude our incumbent, auditor from a future procurement?
Yeah, I think you could. I mean, if that was the board, it would be something you'd want to bring to the board before you do the procurement. And make it clear that you're looking to change.
Just, okay,
But we're arguing both sides, like,
yeah,
why would we
I
wanna
think-
do that if we feel like
yeah,
we want them because they have the experience?
well, you want them because they also
Not-
rated fairly, maybe. You
Yeah,
went through the fair process
right,
to get to the scoring that you got.
yeah,
And so you're gonna settle with someone that has a lesser score just because you want change. So I think you guys, I won't be here, but the board needs to be careful on that direction,
right.
on excluding people. Because of the fact that we use you guys also for ACTC and so on. So they have the experience, and I would hate to just hire somebody just because they were never given the chance, but Maze has the experience. That's what I worry about.
Right, no, I'm completely with you. My point was that, again, I'm happy to go with the recommendation of the finance committee, but, to Julie's point, if we have 2 that are super close, this might be the right time to make that change, as opposed to saying, well, we're going with Maze, they were, they edged it out, but in 3 years, we're gonna look. Well, if we have 2 that are super close and we're going with Maze anyway, then other firms are gonna be like, there's no point in 3 years, like, they had an opportunity to change, and they didn't change, so why would we do that?
I wondered if somebody can feed back to the second company, Brown and Armstrong, I think it was. The ability to call and be trained and have that resource is an important part of a feature for the company that, let's say, is ultimately selected. Could they bring that next time? So that we get 2 comparable firms instead of just constantly going, you're just a little better, you're just a little better. Let's bring both of them up so that you really have a choice between 2 competent
For full
firms.
transparency, they do offer training, but theirs is at a cost. They do not offer free
You
training.
need to bring free training then.
Exactly, I'm in finance, I like free.
I think that's great feedback.
My favorite F word.
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, but I just want to make sure there's no one. He's not raising.
It goes, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Supervisor.
Yeah, so I just wanted to weigh in and echo all good comments. I also would be agreeable to accepting the recommendations this year. I would also advise that we not eliminate any potential bidders, just because smaller pool of applicants is going to not be as good as a larger pool. If we're fighting between 1 and 2, that's not good. Applicants, that is, that's not good. Maybe we can get more firms to apply. But one other way to maybe think about it is we may affirmatively agree to give more points or somehow favor a new team. It's got to be worth something, a fresh set of eyes. That's why we have that best practice. I wouldn't want to give it to somebody that was too far away in second place, but if they're really close, maybe we agree to allow for a new firm for those fresh set of eyes on that basis, so that they're at least very, very close, and we get perhaps a fresh set of eyes. I'm also not opposed if the next time Mays is indeed clearly the lead. We want the best talent. So if they are again, then so be it. But it does have to outweigh what our best practices are. Maybe we just keep that forefront of our thoughts next time. That's it. Otherwise, all good dialogue. I appreciate you raising these points, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, so one, 3 points, I guess. A question, the recommendation from finance is to just bring it forward. It isn't really a full recommendation of, is it? It's to send it to the board.
We are the board, so we are the last stop right here.
I know,
Okay,
but the comment was overturning the finance recommendation.
Oh.
It isn't overturning the finance recommendation because the recommendation was to bring it to the board, right?
Under recommendation, it says, finance committee recommends the board of directors approves.
Assuming that was.
Yeah, so that means so Councilmember Joby was saying she doesn't want to overturn what we decided.
Right, well, okay, and so I'll point out that in our discussion at the finance committee, we didn't, in the report, it didn't say that, well, I was questioning why we were not honoring the 5-year industry standard. We didn't learn until right at the very end of our discussion that in fact, we've had Mays since 1996, and I have to say, I that kind of threw me. And if I had that in the report, that would have factored a lot more into where we got at that meeting. My other question is, I know in our conversations, our discussion then, it was right up until I brought forward the 5-year issue. It was like, well, these two were neck and neck. They were neck and neck. It wasn't, and so it was kind of a hard decision. So why does Brown Armstrong have the transit experience that we're?
Yes.
Okay, so, I'm not quite sure. I thought that was being said to be why Mays, everybody likes Mays. The city uses Mays, everybody uses Mays, and all of our regional assignments use Mays. But, I've been in regional assignments where it was beyond that threshold and it was time to just transition. And then you can go back to Mays after 5 years, right? Or 3 as it would be with whatever. Okay, well, all right. That's all. I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for having the discussion.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public?
So there's only one attendee in our meeting today. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. I'd like to speak. No, not raising their hand. And there's nobody here in the public saying I didn't get anything.
Okay, thank you. So I'll bring it back to the full board if they have any other last minute.
Move approval?
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right.
Vice Chair Browning.
Aye.
Director Brown.
Aye.
Director Halbert.
Aye.
Dr. Josie. Aye. Director Kick.
Aye.
Director Testa.
No,
And Chair Hernandez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So we will go on to item number 6, which is our executive director's report.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair Hernandez. Happy March. I see some blue skies out there. It's been a rainy few days. Just kicking off your monthly report with your ridership update. We are continuing to see our year-over-year ridership increases. Seeing an increase on our local routes, number 3, and our 20X route, which serves the lab. We're also seeing an increase in average weekday. I like to look at your average weekday statistic. That's a good indicator for how people are using the system. And we are up since December, which is great. We are in full steam getting ready to implement your Wheels in Motion new network. It is 3 weeks from yesterday, or 3 weeks from Saturday will be the start of your new service. You may see staff going out and marking bus stop locations in South Livermore and in Central Dublin. So that's our staff getting out there and doing their good work. We also may start to get complaints from residents who are not used to seeing a bus stop in front of their house. This may be more likely in South Livermore along our new 18. So I just want to bring that up and share that we'll speak to anyone who has a complaint about our new service. But we already had a lady maybe yelling at us out the window of her house. So we are also being mindful because it has been so long since that community has seen bus service. People may have moved and bought new houses since then. And so we are trying not to put bus stops in front of houses. We are looking to relocate them in neutral areas to the best of our ability. We are going forward with the stop locations that are already approved. They've just been dormant for over 10 years. So I will keep you all updated as much as you want to be on any complaints we receive.
We'll forward them.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Want to get them all?
We are also gearing up for St. Patrick's Day. Very exciting. That's in a week and a half. Complicating things will be the closure of 680 that weekend. So bummer for all of us, a bummer for our detour for the Route 30. I don't want to hope for a rain delay because that would be devastating for our festival, but darn
No,
it.
it's supposed to, the weather's supposed to be 70 degrees.
Is it? Okay, lovely. Well, I will be there. You're gonna have a whole team there. We'll have our bus in the parade, but I do expect that the 680 closure will be nightmarish for traffic, as it is. Transit Driver Appreciation Day is 2 weeks from today. You have a very non-fancy graphic in front of you, just inviting you to come and have some tacos with us from 11 to 2 to celebrate our amazing workforce. Moving on to paratransit, we are going to execute the 4th Amendment to our one-seat ride service. So we are not yet making this a permanent program. It is still in the pilot phase as we work through data issues with the National Transit Database. But I see no reason to recommend ending this service. Our customers really appreciate it, and it is a model that is being looked at region-wide. Celebrating Victoria Holt. So I want to give kudos to Mike Tobin, Director of Operations. Mike has amazing ideas, and he wanted to celebrate Victoria's 33 years driving for wheels. So we went and ambushed her at the BART station with balloons and flowers. We gave her an hour off. We wanted to give her more time off. It just didn't work that way. And it was really a special moment for all of us. I think it will catch on and everyone's going to be wanting flowers and balloons in the field, but kudos to Mike for a great idea. And we did a great social media posting and I've included that in your packet. And I just wanted to touch on something as we're gearing up for Emerald High School and Dublin High changes. I read our Title VI plan, which is our federally required plan that tells us when we need to involve the public in our route decisions. You may recall this came up with Wheels in Motion. Well, our Title VI plan does require us to do a public hearing for a new route that would serve Emerald High, as well as any removal of a route serving Dublin High. So what that means is you will have a more formal approval process for your school route changes. So it's more work for staff. We aren't thinking all the bells and whistles of wheels in motion. We know who we need to target. We have limited resources to play with. It's peeling something away from Dublin High and putting it into Emerald High, but we will be asking the board to take action on a public hearing, probably at your April meeting for your May meeting. So more to come to projects and services this month.
I'm sorry, can I ask something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why is it that the one high school will not need it? I know that we've had discussion, but I wasn't clear on really why the new high school will be the bigger high school, but there will still be two?
No, the original high school will be the one with the more students, but we don't have enough, buses and drivers.
So this is a phase, yes, and so we deploy a lot of buses to Dublin High. We have 11 buses we send there every afternoon. And Emerald High will open to freshmen and sophomores at the permanent location this fall. So we are trying to figure out how to maintain service from East Dublin to Dublin High for the juniors and seniors who will still be going to Dublin High, and providing service to the Emerald High for the freshmen and sophomores. So that's a very complicated answer to your question, but right now, all we have to play with, all the buses are allocated to Dublin High. And we have to make some assumptions about how the mode share will shift. We have to assume how many kids might take the bus to Emerald High. We have to assume how many kids who are juniors and seniors may continue to want to take the bus to Dublin High.
And a few freshmen and sophomores, because if they have older siblings.
Sure, yeah, that's right.
And,
Yeah.
or other reasons that they may want to, they may live in the boundary for Emerald, but are going to Dublin.
And this is not an easy exercise. Preliminarily, our service planner has identified one bus in the morning and 2 buses in the afternoon to provide service to Emerald High. We are not sure that will be enough. Some of this will have to be a wait and see approach.
Pilot program.
It will have to be, and I'm pushing staff to come up with what are our plan B, C, and D in the event we still get crunch loads to Dublin High with this expectation of service to Emerald High as well. The nice thing is we're talking to Emerald High now, we're talking about bell times, we may not be able to influence anything, but the travel path for a bus to get to Emerald High is shorter than it is to get to Dublin High. So, we might have some wiggle room there,
And
but
their bell schedules are really big,
are they?
from what I hear.
But you gotta
Have
keep
you-
pushing, you gotta keep pushing that.
I know, we do.
The morning bell schedule will be the same, but the afternoon bell schedule will be, from what I heard.
So all this being said, because we are going to we'll likely recommend eliminating the 501C, which is our express route from Dublin High to Positano, and reallocating that route to Emerald High. We don't know what route number yet. Those 2 changes require a public hearing, and they require a public noticing period. They require a public hearing in front of this board. Does that answer your question?
It did, but I have another one.
Okay.
So, if there's only one bus and no crystal ball, so, the one bus is, 32 seats, right?
It would be around, 32 seats, 40-foot bus, big, large
But
bus.
we allow how much beyond that?
We allow 1.5 seated capacity, so typically no more than 60 student riders on a bus.
60
Yes,
seated riders, you said.
standard and seated.
Standard. and-
Yeah,
Standard and seated.
Yeah.
So what if, 65 are there to get on that bus? What happens?
Right now, we would leave that up to the operator's discretion. If it was the first week of school, we may say just try to cram all the kids in there as we do. If this was a constant overcrowding issue where we were constantly exceeding our load capacity, we would be looking at making a recommended change, which could mean removing a school bus route that has lower capacity or lower loads. We could remove a local route. We would have to bring that to the board and for your input.
So what is the threshold where the driver must say, no more, you can't come on? What if you had 70?
At this point, for schools that have they have extra service, so Dublin High and is it Amador Valley or Foothill High has the extra late bus? Foothill. So there are 2 schools that have late buses. We are strictly enforcing the 60 kids. We will give the drivers discretion, for how many kids they can squeeze on the bus. Sometimes it will occasionally go over that 60 limit. That sometimes happens on a Wednesday. It's inconsistent. It's not a Monday through Friday issue. But we do leave it up to our drivers to drive safe. If it is an unsafe situation where the kids are there's too many kids, they would call into dispatch and we would likely look to deploy an additional bus or have a supervisor come out in a van and pick up extra kids. We've done that in the past.
A van is an option.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but it is something we've done in the past.
Okay.
Does Dublin have a late bus?
Yes, we added a late bus on the 501. I haven't checked it on the ridership lately, but we have added it.
Do you have any other questions?
I'm good.
Just, really quickly, on the public hearing, are we allowed to put in flexibility so that if we do need to make changes for Emerald and Dublin, based on all the ridership concerns we might have? Do we put that in the public hearing or will we need a second public hearing?
So your major service change policy says you need a public hearing for any 25% increase or decrease in a route's average daily mileage, or the elimination of a route or the introduction of a new route. So if we needed an extra, another trip on a route in the morning, but it didn't trigger that 25% threshold, we would not need it. And we will be redoing our Title VI plan next year. The way it's written right now really restricts us. I would be recommending that we have some exemptions for routes that don't operate, that operate fewer than 5 or 10 trips a day. That is something that a lot of agencies, they have in their Title VI plan, so that if they make one change to a trip, it doesn't trigger a public hearing.
Sound good.
Any other school-related questions?
This is one school-related question is very much somebody who does not know the bell schedule.
I don't know it either.
It sure would be nice if that you could go from Dublin High, take those few juniors and seniors and bring them over to Emerald and then populate them into the Emerald bus system without having to have one bus do this and the other bus do this. They almost cross in the road.
I know.
But I know it depends on so many variables.
Yeah.
But that way, it just simplifies it,
Yeah.
bring them from A to B, and then they're part of the B route,
Yeah.
part of the Emerald High School route, but.
I think the bell schedule won't line up for that, but I love that idea. I thought of it myself. And right now, we're just trying to think about,
Then you have to have 14-year-olds managing a transfer.
well, there you go, or getting off at its first
But
stop.
they only get one bus at the new school, right?
That's what we're looking at, one bus, yeah.
And I think it's definitely gonna be like trying times. So you have to really run the routes.
We do.
For you to like understand where
Yeah.
it's gonna go.
And we'll be asking for patience, we'll be communicative and transparent, but it isn't as easy as taking one bus here and moving it there, especially when we have tried transit to school for the first month. When, we see a lot more ridership typically the first month because we offer free rides. Just lastly, before I move off Emerald High, I did reach out to Alameda CTC about the possibility of bringing Emerald High into the student pass program, and they didn't say no.
Oh, good.
So they are, which I take as a great sign. So they wanted to know if we had any concerns with capacity, and I said, I think at this point, we don't have any concerns, so I'll let you know if I hear anything.
So, but does Emerald High have to sign up for it?
I think Emerald High has
I think-
requested it.
They have?
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
know the past Dublin High School
Yeah.
missed the mark. So
Okay.
they weren't.
Emerald High has already reached out to Alameda CTC, and the principal mentioned this to me when we had our meeting. I wanted to know if we could do anything to help them.
Dublin High is part of the program at this point.
Yeah, but at first it wasn't.
Right.
Because they missed the deadline.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked, was it Emerald High that actually reached out?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I think so. I do, yeah.
But that's supposed to be also to meet the needs of vulnerable
Yeah,
populations.
absolutely.
So I understand, that it's in my city, but I also understand that you know, there's limited resources.
There's a few kiddos there that are trying to help specific needs.
No, and again, I understand that, but it's, you know, but we definitely,
So moving on to finance and admin, I'm gonna start by sharing, we have our third and final staff development workshop this Friday. We are having it again in the Dublin Regional Room, so please stop by and say hi. We are focusing on conflict resolution on Friday, and so we have our team from Insight Strategies leading that workshop. You'll notice in your packet, your board statistics look exactly the same. And this is because it is complicated. Staff has done a great job coming up with a refresh. And a lot of us had an opinion about what we thought should be included. And so rather than push that through, we thought we'd take some time and continue to work on your statistics. Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Grant. So LAVTA will be a non-applicant partner in the development in Dublin at West Dublin BART. The related company or the related group is doing an affordable housing project there. BART is the big transit partner. When you buy 2 train cars, you get a whole lot of GHG benefits, which is wonderful. We want money for this project. We want money for affordable housing near transit. But LAVTA was asked to join this application. They are interested in bus shelter amenities, in transit signal priority. And so we were able to identify 5 locations in central Dublin where we would be putting in new bus shelters. Your city staff has agreed in concept to 1 mile of transit signal priority on Village, which is amazing. If I can get by that high school, that would be awesome. And I am awaiting confirmation that we will receive up to $500,000 in operating money for our 680X service, which is what we really need. So I'm thrilled about this. This is a great grant program. And if successful, and I think that we will be because the GHGs are so high, the developer has to buy transit passes for all the residents for 3 years, which is awesome. That's great, which is great. So this ASIC money is my favorite, and if you ever hear of an affordable housing development, and bring them my way, and I will do my best to find a project, because it's the right thing to do. Speaking of looking for money, moving on to our 2024 grants, the FTA released the 2024 low and no emissions and bus facilities grants. So we are applying again assertively for money to build Atlantis, and we are partnering with the Center for Transportation and the Environment, who has a very long track record of successful applications. So last year, we hired them to just do the grant writing for us, and we were not successful. This year, they are going to be our partner in putting together our proposal, and if successful, then they will have funding available to help us with our hydrogen transition. And so we're very excited about that. The applications are due April 25th. And so I will give you updates as they come.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, I'm very hopeful. I will also share that yesterday, the House and Senate Appropriations Committee released a bipartisan Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Act of 2024, which includes our earmark for $3 million. So it's not signed yet, but
Congressman is fine.
and so, so that's awesome. So we're just waiting on that. Staff is still keeping a close eye on the regional transportation measure SB 925. This is Senator Wiener's bill that will include the enabling legislation for MTC to put a measure on the ballot in 2026 or later. There's lots of discussion about this bill. I have not seen anything but the spot bill. We're expecting to see an amended bill here in about a week. And final amendments are due March 16th, but we're watching this very closely. And just lastly, your upcoming procurements, we released our state and federal lobbyist RFP last Friday. And the contract is expected to come to the board for award in late spring. And we received proposals for our on-call marketing, graphic design, and advertising service contracts last Friday. We got a healthy number of proposals, so staff will be busy evaluating those and making a recommendation to you next month. And in your packet, you have your normal statistics. I continue to look at Go Tri Valley. That's where my eye goes. It's still going up. It's still going up. So, aside from my slight panic attacks about that, we have not implemented our cap yet. The cap will go into effect in April, but I will be watching this like a hawk and will not hesitate if we aren't hitting the mark with our cost reductions that we're expecting. I will be bringing this back to you sooner than later for your input. And then just packing your committee agendas. We have some for your finance committee. We've got your allocation requests for LCTOP and for RM2, your on-call marketing contract award. Your budget will be coming in April to the finance committee along with other funding resolutions. And then for projects and services, I'll bring back a long-range plan to you later this month. The paratransit customer satisfaction survey has been complete, so we have results there. And exciting to be moving forward some construction task orders. Long overdue, we are going to get moving on our retrofit here at Rattan to build in the ventilation and the alarm systems necessary for hydrogen. So I'm expecting to have a task order contract for your consideration in March. And then in April, another one related to the design of 3 stop improvements or 3 hub improvements, one at BART, one at the lab, and one at Las Positas. This is a 2021 FTA passenger facilities enhancement grant. So the money is a little old and we need to spend it. So this is the year we're going to be building things.
Did you say hydrogen here?
So we are retrofitting 2 maintenance bays in our shop so that they have the safety measures in place if there's a hydrogen leak.
Okay.
So it's a hydrogen detection. We're not fueling hydrogen here. We're not producing hydrogen here. It's just the maintenance. Yeah,
It's a safety measure for the bus.
correct. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
because we are planning, it'll be over.
correct. Yeah,
For the actual station.
correct. That is where the fueling will happen. So for some time, we will be shuttling our fuel cell buses to get fueled at Atlantis. And maintaining them here.
Got it, thank you.
That concludes my report.
Any other questions? Okay. So then we will go ahead and ask the board if they have any requests for any upcoming, for our next coming agenda. Not seeing any. Our next meeting is on April 1st. No, it's not adjourned.
No, I know.